Back at the bench now. I think I want to take and mask these down. I mean, from the wear on the paint, you know, that one's around 3.5. This one's a little closer, like 3 3/4. I think I just want to give myself a little zone there of about 4 inches. So I think I'm just going to mask them off right about 4, like that. Same thing with this one. Didn't go on straight. Not that it's precision work or anything, but neatness counts, right? Alright, so I'm going to take these over to the sandblaster and just kind of roughen this area to give that stuff a little better surface to stick to, and then I'll wipe everything down, solvent, probably acetone, and still have to come up with some kind of a fixture to suspend these, so then I can bring the can up on it. It says you have to do about 1 inch per second, I think, if I remember right. So you got to kind of come up and then about 1 inch per second down, and then just kind of let it hang there. So maybe just something out of wood real quick I'll put together to do that. So let me step over to sandblaster and I'll be back. Back from the sandblaster, and I've cleaned these already with acetone, but you can see I got a nice frosted finish there from the sandblaster. And this is the one where I machined off the extra material, and you can't even see the seam now. This one you can. That's the one I tapped in. So maybe machining it, leaving a little extra, machining it off was the way to go. But in any case, hopefully they're going to be buried under this Plasti Dip for years to come. So I'll set those aside, and I will work on the fixture to support them, and we'll get ready to dip them. So I assembled this hasty structure here out of some scrap wood with staples and a couple of screws for the top, and I drilled holes up here for these handles to sort of press fit up in there. I think they're good enough. They're not going to fall out without actually being pulled on. So the instructions tell you to stir this stuff thoroughly. I'm assuming shaking's not good because probably you'll put air bubbles in it. And then you got to hang your item, and then it's actually insert item 1 inch every 5 seconds, and then withdraw at the same rate. So it's a pretty slow process. Allow 30 minutes minimum between coats. Apply as many coats as desired, and allow 4 hours minimum dry time before use. We'll see how the first coat goes. It's getting a little late here. I may do it and then just come back and revisit it in the morning if I want to do more. Or maybe I'll hang out depending on how it looks. So we'll open it up here. And the only color they had at the store was black, so that's what we have. In my trash can. And this can's about 6 inches tall, so I was looking around for something clean to stir it with, and of course I came up with the old standby, right? One of your screwdrivers. This is a fairly new one. I didn't really want to do it. But then I thought, well, that might be a good test. So I actually drilled a larger hole up here on top where I'll be able to take this screwdriver and leave it suspended after I use it to stir the mix. And my thought is that maybe tomorrow we can take a look at that and do some destructive testing and see, you know, how easily that coating peels off, how well it stuck on there. I did clean that as well with solvent, same as these two pieces. So let's get started. It looks like it's pretty consistent. I don't see, you know, sometimes in paint you'll see some type of separation or something. It just tells you to stir it thoroughly. It doesn't tell you, you know, how long, like some paints, you know, minimum time to mix them. You see it's looking pretty thick already on the screwdriver. It's increased the diameter quite a bit. And what I may do is go ahead and wipe this off, since I didn't you know, follow the exact instructions, and I'd like to do that. So let's wipe it off. I'll reinsert it, and then we'll go from there. And grab that really quick. So 5 seconds per inch. So 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. I might be kind of a little fast there. Using my phone as my preview for the GoPro, otherwise I'd probably use a timer just to so I've gotten about 3 inches, I think. Kind of trying to mentally count a little bit here and talk at the same time. Slowly bring it out, and I think that may be sufficient. So when you're watching the video, you can watch the timer and see how long I actually did it for. So just going to carefully slide that down through there. So let's try our first handle here. Plan is to just kind of stop right at the end of the frosted area there and then start going down. I tell you already, my arm is getting tired. Looks like it coated fairly well. Has that typical little, you know, tit on the bottom that you see. What I'm seeing up close is there's some tiny little pock markets that, as I bring it down, then they slowly start to develop. I'm not sure what that's from. believe there are any dings or nicks or anything like that. Let's try the other one. Okay, and I'm seeing those same tiny little pits on this one. So I'm going to seal this up. And I think I'm going to go ahead and wait the half hour. I can see, you know, kind of the thickness. I don't know if it's even a 1/16 of an inch that it added to the diameter, you know, on one side, right, just per side. I think I'm curious enough now that I'm going to wait the extra half hour. Maybe I'll go clean some of those stringy chips we made on the lathe and come back and do a second coat tonight. Kind of see if it has the same surface pitting or defects, whatever you want to call it, same appearance. And then I can come back, you know, let it dry all night and see if I want to do any additional coats or if that will be good enough. So that'll be it for the moment, and we'll be right back on the YouTube time with the second coat. Okay, it's time for coat 2. I did get some cleaning done. My shop can always use cleaning. But I also have to read the can a little more. Now I just chose black because that's the only color they had at the Lowe's that I was at. But it says here on the can they also have, well, they have yellow, red, blue, and then black. So that's why I'm using black, but I think black's probably also the right color for my application here with my backhoe. So I'm going to go through and do the second coat. Now I did notice, I was kind of eyeballing it here, that a lot of the small dents or defects, whatever you want to call them, kind of smoothed out, looks like as it's set up. I mean, you can still see some of them and some very faintly. But for the most part, it looks like they smoothed right out. So let's see if we can do another coat here. Quite a few more divots on that one as well. On the other thing, I don't remember if I mentioned, it says American made since 1972. Plasti Dip International out of Blaine, Minnesota. So I'm going to let these sit overnight, and I can start to see quite a bit more, you know, thickness or buildup. But I might like to go ahead and give them a couple more coats in the morning. This stuff, you know, this backhoe sits outside year round, except for the time that it's spent in here getting fixed. So, which is only this time since I've had it at least. So I'm interested to see how well this stuff holds up to the, you know, long term, to the weather and UV and all the other fun stuff. But that's it for tonight, and I will check in again here in the morning and see how these are doing, and maybe we'll put a couple more coats on and go from there. Well, here we are. I've done 5 coats. Let's take a little few measurements here. I remember our base was 0.840, which is just the diameter of the shaft. So I got 965, 980. Down here I've got like 98, 999. So for most of it we've added what, almost so for most of it we've added about 0.8 Got them on average 140. So that's what? That's about 964. So that means per side we've added probably not quite 5/64, a little over a 1/16, and I think that's pretty good. They feel good. The finish came out actually very smooth. It hasn't quite been the 4 hours they say to minimally wait before you use them, but I need to put them back on the backhoe. I'm getting ready to pull the backhoe attachment out of here that I've been working on as part of my backhoe woes series. So the screwdriver will wait the full amount of time, or maybe a little more, before I do a little, stress testing or whatever, and see how easy this stuff peels off of here, things like that. As far as the handles, they look good, and I'm ready to get them back on the backhoe and look forward to being able to use them in the field and see how this stuff holds up, especially after it's been sitting out in the elements. So that's where we're at. Here's a close-up of the handles. Not sure how well you'll be able to see all that, but it's pretty smooth. Came out with a fairly nice rounded end there. Here's the other one. So I think that's definitely going to work. It's got just a little bit of soft feel. I'm not sure if that's because it hasn't completely set up or what, but it's good enough to get them back on the backhoe so I can manipulate that thing to get it out of here once I have it attached to the tractor. So there we are. It's been about 3 days or so since I finished using the Plasti Dip on my backhoe handles and then this test on the screwdriver, and I thought I'd come back and just kind of mess around with this and see kind of how durable it is. So let me face the camera down where you can kind of see it over this paper that I have, and we'll just kind of try and twist it off, stretch it off, and then I have a razor blade. Eventually I'll cut it off because I want to be able to use my screwdriver again. But so let me reposition the camera. Overall, I have to say it coated really nice. It did a pretty thick coat, and this was dipped 5 times. And if you try and sort of twist it off, now this is square, but if you try and twist it, there really isn't any give to it, or here on the tip. It bends just a little bit, probably where the sort of the drip, you dip this and then it kind of runs down a little bit. You can pull on that just a little bit right there. But I gotta say, this stuff is pretty tough. Now I can roll it here. This is probably the biggest weakness, I think, of it, is you can kind of roll it off. But I also wanted to just cut it and see, kind of how well it. It took me 2 tries to get down to the metal there. And even now, it doesn't want to just peel open very easily. There we go. So it's got some pretty good pliability there. It stretches pretty good before it broke there. Probably the biggest thing, with anything is, you can roll it down, so eventually that probably loosens it. But I would say this stuff is pretty tough. Now, again, see, even just one pass with the razor blade wasn't enough. Now, this isn't the sharpest razor blade anymore, but this stuff, you can see it's pretty. That's as much as I can stretch it with my strength. So it's doing, it's pretty tough stuff. I did inspect the backhoe handles today, and they look good and feel good, even though the stuff's been out in freezing weather. Getting down below 32 Fahrenheit at night. So overall, I think I've got one other tool somewhere that has a loose handle. The plastic rubber grip stuff is coming off, and I may try it on that one. I only used, to do those backhoe handles and then this little test on the screwdriver, I only used, I think, about 1/4 of the can, maybe, maybe 1/3. So I have plenty of it left. So I may try it on some other stuff. But overall, I'd say it works good. And if you need it, I would give it a try.